Hello and welcome to another episode of What Gets Captured on Film. This is episode 17. I am your host, Dylan Paulson. And if you're new here, welcome. Hello, please get comfortable. This is a show all about movie news, entertainment news, and each week I'll give you the biggest headlines in the movie industry and what that means for our favorite movies coming out soon. And you get it all in one convenient place. This show goes live on podcast services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, 9 a.m., and it goes live on YouTube at noon on Wednesdays. And this episode will cover everything from January 19th through January 25th. And before we get into any news, please write into the show. I actually forgot to check. We're going to get a little live feedback, potentially, if there are any inquiries this week. No, none this week. That would have been cool. If that was the first time I got an inquiry was live on the show, that would have been pretty cool. Yeah. So you can write into the show any inquiries if you have disagreements with me, things to add, anything, questions you have, I'll answer them. You can write in whatgetscaptured@gmail.com, totally free, and you can become a part of the show. The show is moldable to whatever you want, audience, listener. So please write in. So with all that being said, let's get into the box office results from last week. That's how I like to start off every show. At the end of each show, I'll, talk about whatever movies are coming to theaters this week. And at the beginning of the next show, I like to talk about the box office results of the previous week. So let's get into it. Number one movie of last weekend is Spider-Man No Way Home. It got bounced back up, number one. You might remember last week it was at number two. And then number two of this week is Scream. Got bumped down. It was number one last week, but now it is not. So number one, Spider-Man No Way Home got $14 million last weekend, bringing its total domestic gross up to $720 million, which is absolutely massive. Number two is Scream, $12 million last weekend. Its total domestic gross is $50 million. Not too bad. Good for Scream. Last weekend was huge for it. Seems to be slowing down pretty rapidly. Number three, Sing 2 with $5.7 million. Number four, Redeeming Love, which is a new release, $3.5 million. Number five, The King's Man, $1.7 million. And then number six, The 355. Number seven, American Underdog. Number eight, The King's Daughter, which is a new release. It's estimated to be about $250,000. And then number nine, West Side Story. Number 10, Licorice Pizza. So that's it. That's the box office results. Of course, Spider-Man was going to be top. Actually, it could have gone either way. I didn't know which was going to, if Scream was going to prevail as number one for a second week in a row. But no, Spider-Man's still holding that spot. It's crazy how the legs this movie has. But, it just is the culmination of a lot of things. So if you want to know what I think about Spider-Man, you can listen to the episode titled Spider-Man No Way Home, and you can listen to the episode after that, too. I talk about Spider-Man in depth for 2 weeks straight. So that is live for you if you desire it. So let's get into some news stories, some small things to talk about before we get into what I had been watching this week. So Sundances this week, there are lots of high-profile projects out there. You can find discussions and reviews of some big-name movies and documentaries and limited series. Some of them include, these are the ones that caught my eye. I just named a few of them. Amy Poehler's Lucy and Desi documentary, Genia's, the Kanye West limited series documentary, which is coming to Netflix, I think next month or so, and a Jesse Eisenberg directed film, and there's a ton of other stuff. Any news from Sundance will be reported on below, but I can tell you here at the top that there is no news from Sundance. Just a lot of reviews, a lot of, retrospectives, a lot of discussions based around the films that are shown at Sundance, but no, not really any news I didn't see. But if there was any news, it's reported on below. I pretty much got everything. There are a few big news stories, but other than that, it was a rather slow volume news week. So, yeah. So, okay, this is just an FYI. FYI, the Art Directors Guild announced their annual award nominees this week. Feel free to check them out. If you are interested in being an art director, you should or if you're interested in the awards generally. And then the Cinema Audio Society Award nominees were announced as well. So if you're interested in either of those, feel free to check them out. They are live. I didn't write down when the ceremonies would be, but I'm sure you can find them. If you're looking at the nominees, I'm sure you can find the award shows. The Academy of Natural Sciences announced that there are 276 films. Wait, the Academy of Natural Sciences. Wait, sorry, that's in Philadelphia. We're talking about the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, The Academy of Natural Sciences is a museum in Philadelphia that was bought by Drexel University a few years ago. That's why. And I went to Drexel, so So the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced that there are 276 films up for Best Picture nominees this year. For context, last year there were 366. So almost about 100 less this year compared to last year. Nominees will be announced February 8th. So that was just kind of like a big news story. I felt like it got a little over-reported. The Academy every year releases this long list of eligible movies for the Best Picture nominee. And it's a huge, massive list of hundreds of movies. And this year was 276 movies long. But I really don't think that there's any relevance to it. All the usual suspects are there. I didn't actually look at it to see if Spider-Man was there. I'd be interested, but to be honest, I have such low confidence that movie is going to going to get the award nominee for Best Picture. But we'll see. February 8th. That is. Let me look at the calendar here real quick for you. That is. Oh, that's on Tuesday. I don't know if I'm going to... We'll see what time it is. I feel like, in my memory, they usually announce them at night. I'm not sure. So, you might not hear them on the show for 3 weeks. But, we'll see when the time comes. Next thing is that the upcoming The Batman has a runtime of 2 hours and 55 minutes. Pretty interesting. It's long. That's, pretty much all I had to say. It's long. And I don't think that runtime is any indication of quality. But... we'll see is the only thing I have to say. It's a long movie. I've seen plenty of long movies that are horrible. I've seen plenty of long movies that are good. It's really no indication of quality. But it's cool. 2 hours, 55 minutes. It's definitely a long movie. Also, some other The Batman news for you. The composer released the title track for the film. Pretty cool. Ahead of the film. I personally am not going to listen to it. I like to hear the theme with the whole film, like in the, pretty much where it belongs. It was where it was written to be heard, but it's out there if you want to listen to it. So that was all of the small things I wanted to talk about. Now let's get into the reason why you are here, potentially. If you saw the title of this episode, Ozark Season 4, Part 1 was released last week. I finished it. It was 7 episodes long, filmed during COVID. That was another thing that I didn't even write down in my notes here. So I'll just talk about it. Overall, I liked it a lot. I think it does a great job at upping the stakes. I think it's a great iteration on Season 3, and I think it's a great iteration on the show generally and where it can go. I feel like the stakes have never been higher. It's exactly where you want a show to go. That being said, there's a lot of things that are amiss. Amiss, one word, A-M-I-S-S. But a few things that I liked. I loved the relationship between Ruth and Wyatt and how that has progressed throughout the show. I felt like in this season, their relationship throughout the previous seasons had been so in one direction, and now that it's here, it feels so warranted, and it's so... When you have those emotional highs and lows, when it's an emotional high or an emotional low, after having those peaks or peaks and valleys of, whatever emotion the relationship is going to make you feel, they feel... When it gets to another peak or another valley, it feels so warranted, and it hits you more. That was something we talked about a lot when I was studying screenwriting, peaks and valleys of relationships. So Ruth and Wyatt here, I think their interactions here are the best they've ever been. They're the most interesting they've ever been. Any decision that is made around them directly impacts them. It was great. Definitely not the high point of the show, but a high point for sure. And in this season again, we see the next iteration of, or the evolvement, the evolution of Wyatt's relationship with Darlene. I have always, since they started, being together on the show, I always question it, and it's nothing to do with age. To be honest, it really is nothing to do with age. It has to do with Wyatt. I just don't see Wyatt as... let me back up. It's not that I don't see it. It's that I question it. I question whether or not the character of Wyatt would have made that decision anyway, because I knew him in season 1. He was so intelligent, reading books, going to college, and in season 2 as well, applying for colleges, and he was the intelligence backbone of the Langmore family. So I don't understand how he can. I know that he has an emotional fall from grace. I get it. That's why he's in this situation. But I have always, when watching the show, questioned whether or not it's a believable decision that he would wind up with Darlene. Anytime they're together, I'm like, but he's smarter than this, no? But at the same time, because he had such an emotional downfall, you think, well, maybe he's questioning everything. Maybe nothing feels right to him. Nothing feels real. He's questioning what family means and all that. So it's not saying that I don't believe it. It's just I question it. And it's not a knock on the show. I don't feel any sort of positive or negative about it, but it's definitely something to discuss. So, okay, next thing is that, this was a big one, is that Charlotte's attempted emancipation from season 2 is hardly touched on. And this is like the biggest plot hole in the show for me. It makes Charlotte's motivations completely unclear. It seems like it was totally wrapped up with a nice little bow at the end of season 2, where Charlotte just like kind of all of a sudden had this, quick decision to not emancipate from the family, and she sticks together with the family. And then it's kind of it's touched upon it, in passing. She's like, oh yeah, remember I tried to leave? Oh yeah, remember I bought a van? But like, I feel like whatever decision was made wasn't big enough for her as a character to warrant staying, which makes all of her motivations non-believable. So I have like kind of lost trust in her character. She's, I just am, it's hard to, relate to her or, put stock in her as an emotional character when her biggest character arc ended a few seasons ago with like pretty middling emotions, and it was kind of an unclear end, kind of gray area of like, is that, is it warranted that she stayed with the family? I'm not really seeing any of her motivations. So like any time that the birds have some sort of difficult situation there, I'm kind of like, well, why doesn't Charlotte want to leave anymore? Why? Why is she still here? She tried to leave once, and we got some sort of unclear result as to why she's here. Why doesn't she try to leave again? And there's no answer to that. That is my biggest flaw. My biggest flaw. That's my biggest flaw, guys, is Charlotte. No, Charlotte. God, Charlotte. No, this is the show's biggest flaw, is Charlotte's complete ambivalence of motivations. It's just so, yeah, that's it. I don't need to go on. I made my point. Another thing is that, okay, so Jonah, let's talk about Jonah for a sec. I like Jonah's character arc in this season. The problem with him is that I don't think he's a great actor, and that some lines he has are just like, meh, that was, and And it's a shame because I'm sure he's a fine actor, but when you're put toe to toe with Jason Bateman and Laura Linney to a slightly lesser extent, Jason Bateman is just top of his game right here. And Laura Linney's good. She's the best she's ever been in this season, no doubt. And I think she's only gotten more believable as the show has gone on. But the actor who plays Jonah, I'm just like, man, like, you're surrounded by really high quality actors. Julia Garner, even he's in scenes with Julia Garner, and he's just like kind of missing the mark for me there. But I like his character arc a lot. I think the writers did a good job with him. And I think he's fine for the most part. He's, passable for the most part. I don't think anyone that really is tuned in to good acting is going to recognize his performance as being a little off, but I do, so I just wanted to say it. Next thing is like kind of a slight spoiler, but I'm not going to say any names, but characters that have died in previous seasons or were killed off in previous seasons, I like that they're still in the mix, kind of. Their absence is still talked about. It's still a relevant plot point. It's believable. But there is one character, and I'm not going to say his name. Well, it's a man. I'm not going to say his name, but there is one character that died in season 2 that is just, it was earth-shattering death of the show. Or of the season, I should say. But he is just almost never mentioned again. And there's no sort of, repercussions with the police or with the FBI. Like, who's looking for this guy, And all the other characters, I don't want to name names. I don't want to completely spoil the show. But there are a lot of other characters that die, and they're still in the mix. But there's one character from season 2 that dies and is just not talked about. So, and these small things really stand out in the show because otherwise it's really good. The show is so good, so well written, but these small little things stick out, and because the show is otherwise great. This next thing is another thing that I question, but isn't necessarily a huge flaw of the show. I'm not going to, mark it down for this, but Omar Navarro has specific motivations in this season that kind of set forward the motion of the rest of the season. He has a specific motivation, and that I don't buy. His motivation for that sets forward the plot of season 4. I'm just not really buying it. I feel like it's inconsistent with the character that he was last season, which is fine. Sometimes you're a writer and you need to kind of pull yourself out of a hole. And I think that was probably the best that they could do to end the show. And they knew that season 4 was going to be the end. So I think it's, it's all right. It's not 100% believable, but I just think it's a little inconsistent with last season's Navarro, who was like bloodthirsty. So, that's that. And I also wanted to say, it was filmed during COVID, and other than not seeing Zeke, the baby, it was like I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. But I know that you are not allowed to have, I think it's a child under 2 years old or under 3 years old on set. In COVID, those are union relegated rules. So, and that was noticeable, and I didn't notice it at first. I was just like, okay, Zeke's there, crying baby, but then you never see him. And then it's like, oh yeah, this was filmed during COVID, wasn't it? And it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. I only recognized it. Some audience members might be like, oh, where's the baby? But they might not think of it. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was way worse than this. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it was a shame too, because Jake and Amy had just had their first baby. So it was like, how do we navigate this without showing the baby? I think they had one shot of the baby, and it was like completely isolated. They did it in complete isolation with this newborn infant, or it might have been like stock footage of a baby or something. But only one shot. So you can't have a baby with other actors. And there's nothing you can really do about that. You can't fault production for that, but it definitely comes out in the final product. Way more so in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. In Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I was like, it really took me out. I was like, this is not right. This does not look right. That is not a baby. That is a fake doll, and in Ozark did a better job at hiding it, but I still kind of noticed it here and there. And the last thing that I wanted to say about Ozark Season 4, Part 1, before we move on, is that I hate Netflix for doing this, but they split this season into 2 parts, and it totally messes up the pacing of the show. I talked about this last week. It really pisses me off that they did this. And they did it with Arrested Development, and they did it with BoJack Horseman, and I'm sure they did it with other shows too. They take the last season, and they know that of a show that's beloved, and they know that people love, and they split it into 2 parts, and they release them. They film them all at once. So season 4 of Ozark is done. The actors are done filming it. It's done. It is in the vault, right? It is in the Netflix vault. And then 6 months from now, they're just going to release it. It pisses me off. It completely ruins the pacing of the season. I want to know what happens to the birds right now. I'll be on Netflix right now, but I don't have anything to watch on Netflix right now. So they don't have my time. But what they do have is my money, because I'm going to stay with the subscription, because this is why they do it. 6 months from now, I'll re-up the subscription, or I'll just stay with Netflix for 6 months and they'll hope that I find some sort of other content, which, I will, because Netflix, I think, is an essential streaming service. Although they did just up their price recently. I'm surprised that I didn't see that in my reporting anywhere, but yeah, Netflix upped the price. I think it's $20 a month now, like $19.99 or $19.95 a month or something. It's high price, no doubt. But I think it's essential. If you only have one streaming service, let it be Netflix. It's essential. So, that's really all I need to say. It just completely ruins the pace of the season. The show is done, it's over. Jason Bateman, the writers, other producers, they know what happens in the show. Just give us the season. What do you gain? Let Ozark live. Let it's going to end anyway, right? Just give it to us now so we can, I don't know. It's that decision is solely a business decision, and it's frustrating because this industry is art, but it's art, backed by businesses. So I don't know. It's just a tough line to walk when you're in this industry, but because you need to, if you're not producing high quality art, then you're not going to get money, right? Spider-Man No Way Home could have been horseshit, but it's not. It's good. It's a good movie. Definitely. No doubt. But it's also a business, and you need to be able to sell that product. And I just wish Netflix would give us this, give us the rest of season 4, and then prove to the people that are here for Ozark that there's content elsewhere that's worth it. Recommend me Narcos. Recommend me, I don't know, something else. Give me another good show of Ozark quality. But, I don't know. It feels cheap. So that's everything about Ozark. If you're here for Ozark, please stick around. There's some other pieces of news. We didn't even really get into the news. And if you're here for the news, welcome. Here's the news. Number 1. Deadline reported that Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson are set to star in a new holiday film from Amazon Studios titled Red One. The new action-adventure comedy aims to shoot later this year, with recent Jumanji sequels director Jake Kasdan at the helm, with Chris Morgan writing. Morgan, you'll know as the longtime writer of the Fast and Furious franchise, being responsible for Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, The Fate of the Furious, and the spin-off action film Hobbs and Shaw. Other than that, there is little to no information about this film. If filming is expected this year, we can imagine seeing this on Amazon during holiday 2023. Evans and Johnson are Evans and Johnson is certainly an interesting pairing, and one that will make a very entertaining film, as these two are one of the most sought-after actors in Hollywood today. Chris Evans is known for portraying Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from 2011's Captain America through 2019's Avengers Endgame. Evans has also had a role in 2019's Knives Out from Rian Johnson, and is due to star in Disney Pixar's Toy Story spin-off Lightyear and the Russo brothers' upcoming thriller, The Gray Man. Dwayne Johnson is a wrestler turned comedic actor turned dramatic actor who is known for his role as Luke Hobbs in the Fast and Furious films, as well as recently starring alongside Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot in Red Notice, which is due for 2 more films in the next few years. We'll continue to update the story as details are revealed. Definitely the biggest news story this week. I'm not sure why people weren't, talking about this, hyping this up. Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson is a massive pairing together. This movie's gonna be huge, and it's an Amazon Studios movie. I mean, this is on the scale of, what was it? Red Notice? Was that what it was called? Yeah, Red Notice. Interesting that it's also called Red One, but this is huge. I mean, Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds from Red Notice is a huge, massive pairing, and it became Netflix's most popular show or most popular movie. It was something. It was like the highest amount of minutes watched per day in Netflix history in the first 28 days after its release. And this for Amazon is a huge get. And it's almost kind of different because Amazon Studios, the Amazon Prime digital marketplace, is a different kind of streaming service than Netflix and Hulu, Disney Plus, and the like. Amazon Prime is an add-on to your Amazon, Prime package subscription. The Amazon Prime exclusive movies and videos, TV shows, those are add-ons to your subscription. What you're really getting is Prime shipping. That's what you're getting. That's the product. It is not a social media. Everything surrounding that is kind of there to give you the free shipping for Amazon products. Netflix and Hulu are fighting for your time. Amazon doesn't necessarily care about your time because they're offering a different value proposition. Netflix and Hulu's value proposition is look where you can spend your time. Amazon's is look where I can get, look how you can get packages delivered for free. It's something like that. And look at all the add-ons we have. So Amazon doesn't need a killer app type movie. They don't need it because it's a different value proposition. So when they have a film that really breaks through and becomes something good, like The Tender Bar is, I haven't seen it yet, but getting a lot of praise. Manchester by the Sea getting a lot of praise. Handmaid's Tale. Wait, that's on Hulu. Man in the High Castle, is that Amazon? Gets a lot of praise, and Red One is going to be huge. When these movies come out, it's nice, or the shows come out, it's nice, but it's not the tentpole Amazon, package. You own Amazon Prime for the free shipping and everything else. So, that was all I really wanted to say about that. Just a little insight that I think I can provide to you. But what's that other show? It's a cartoon, Invincible. Yeah, there you go. That's the number one right now, I think. Highest quality? I don't know. We'll see. I'll do some research into Amazon. It's kind of a blind spot for me. I have it, but kind of a blind spot. All right, number 2. Netflix released a trailer for Pinocchio this week via their official YouTube channel. The video's description reads, quote, Academy Award-winning filmmaker Guillermo del Toro reimagines the classic Italian tale of Pinocchio in a stop-motion musical adventure. Follow the mischievous adventures of Pinocchio in his pursuit of a place in the world, end quote. The film was directed by Oscar-winning director Guillermo del Toro and composer Mark Gustafson and is written by Del Toro and Emmy Award-winning writer of Over the Garden Wall, Patrick McHale. The film stars Ewan McGregor as Cricket, David Bradley as Geppetto, and Gregory Mann as Pinocchio. Other cast members include Finn Wolfhard, Cate Blanchett, John Turturro, Ron Perlman, Tim Blake Nelson, Bern Gorman, Christoph Waltz, and Tilda Swinton. The film is due to release on Netflix in December 2022. So, wait, is that right? Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought it was December right now, and I was like, whoa, no way. Yeah. So, I know that this is a short little thing. I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited. I know it's like about a minute long. I'm just going to watch it real quick, and I'll come right back and give you my thoughts. Okay, so that was kind of a short, little thing. If you've seen it, or if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. Just look up Pinocchio. You can find it. It's just like Ewan McGregor as Cricket, and he's in a book, and he, looks up from the book, and he says something to the audience, and he jumps out, and it's kind of cool. I have a huge problem with this already, and it's that it seems like visually they're going to do something similar to what it, looks like a live action Pinocchio. Why does Cricket look like a real freaking cricket? It's stop motion animation. Why does he look like an insect? Why does he look like a cricket? Make him look freaking fantastical so that when I watch him, I'm not like, that's a cricket. I'm like, that is a, humanoid personification of a cricket. I'm over Disney and their freaking live action remakes. There was another one announced this week for Snow White, I think. I'm over it. The Lion King was bad. The Jungle Book was unrealistic. I understand that they want to bring these movies to a new audience, but they're called classics for a reason. And they're movies that were made in a time when movies were only considered an art. They weren't considered a business that was mined these franchises for their money, and that was all they were worth. They were, they meant something at the time. Pinocchio meant something at the time. Snow White meant something. And just because you can attach Ewan McGregor or freaking Christoph Waltz and Guillermo del Toro, these big names, Oscar-winning names, to these movies doesn't make them good. It doesn't make it warranted. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not looking forward to this. I love Pinocchio. I loved Pinocchio growing up as a kid. It's a classic. Don't remake it. And if you're going to, have some creativity. But you don't. You don't have creativity. Sorry. I do hope it's good, though. Guillermo del Toro, the writer is that guy, Patrick McHale from Over the Garden Wall, which I haven't seen, but everyone loves. It's, I don't know. We'll see. Pinocchio holds up, right? And Aristocats, too. That was just announced, too. It doesn't need to be made. You're going to make a live-action remake of Aristocats? They're cats. You're going to do the exact same thing that was done with The Lion King. It's horrid. Whatever. Number 3. Multiple sources are reporting that Johnny Depp has gained another lead role in an upcoming major motion picture. The role is disgraced French King Louis XV, in an untitled film from French actor/director May Wen, known for critically lauded 2011 film Polis. Johnny Depp has been surrounded in controversy over the course of his career, having multiple stints of alcohol and drug abuse after the initial success of his early career with Nightmare on Elm Street, Platoon, 21 Jump Street, and a slew of films with frequent collaborator Tim Burton. Depp's career was revitalized with Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. His most recent controversies, however, revolve around his relationship and divorce with fellow actor Amber Heard, in which both parties have been suing and countersuing each other for the better part of the last 5 years. Within these suits are claims of abuse and defamation of both and towards both Heard and Depp. Due to the constant and ongoing lawsuits and negative press, 2 major things have occurred in Depp's career that are worth highlighting. 1, Disney has claimed Depp will not be cast in any future Pirates films. And 2, Depp has resigned from his role as Gellert Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts series at the request of Warner Brothers. and Mads Mikkelsen has since been recast in the role. The future of working again in Hollywood looked bleak for Depp until this new casting announcement was made. I have no assertion to declare what did or didn't happen behind closed doors of the Depp-Heard household, but I do find it damningly interesting that Depp has been cast in a film written and directed by a female director. As for the truth of who is right or wrong, that may never be known. We'll continue to update on King Louis XV biopic as news is released. I don't have anything to add to that news story. I pretty much said everything that I had to say in that. I have no side to take in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard controversy, lawsuit, defamation. I don't know who's right and who's wrong. I have looked into it a bunch. Even prior to this news story coming out, I've looked into it in my free time because I'm interested. I like Johnny Depp. I have no opinion on Amber Heard. That's pretty much it. I just really have nothing to add to the conversation. I don't think there's much to be had. I hate that people's dirty laundry can be aired, in the public now, and just all of a sudden that ruins people's careers. I'm happy that Johnny Depp's career is not ruined. I'm happy that Amber Heard's career is not seemingly ruined either. So that is all I have to say. Let's move on. Number 4. Netflix announced this week a new partnership with Aardman Animations, the stop-motion animation studio behind Chicken Run and Wallace and Gromit. Along with the announcement of the partnership, Netflix also revealed some new details about 2 films that are currently in production and coming soon to Netflix. First of which is the long-awaited sequel to Chicken Run, the most commercially successful stop-motion animation film of all time, which will be titled Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget, and has a release window of 2023. This film will be directed by Sam Fell, a longtime Aardman vet and Flushed Away director, and written by Carrie Kirkpatrick, John O'Farrell, and Rachel Tennard. Kirkpatrick wrote the original screenplay for Chicken Run in 2000. The other new announcement from this partnership is a new untitled Wallace and Gromit film that is still in early pre-production, due for release sometime in 2024. This film has the current logline of quote, Gromit's concern that Wallace has become over-dependent on his inventions proves justified when Wallace invents a smart gnome that seems to develop a mind of its own. As events spiral out of control, it falls to Gromit to put aside his qualms and battle sinister forces, or Wallace may never be able to invent again, end quote. That was a tough read. This film will be directed by Nick Park and Merlin Crossingham, the creators of Wallace and Gromit, and will be written by Oscar-nominated Shaun the Sheep movie writer Mark Burton, who is also known for writing Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Both this franchise and Chicken Run have been notably quiet in recent years, probably struggling to gain funding for what seems like a dying market for high-quality stop-motion films. Netflix is stepping in here is no doubt saving the Aardman Animation Studio, but comes at the cost of new IP. Perhaps in the future we can get an entirely new original film from Aardman and this partnership after this partnership has been completed. In the meantime, we eagerly await these 2 films. I have some sort of history growing up watching these Aardman films. I think they're super creative and super fun. Wallace and Gromit is great. Chicken Run I saw so long ago, I really even hardly remember it. It feels like a fever dream. And Flushed Away, I absolutely love. I saw it in theaters with my grandma. It's one of my greatest movie memories growing up. It just is a highlight memory for me. I love that movie. And I wish that we could get more new IP, because I think that the Aardman has a lot of really talented, creative people, but for some reason, the Chicken Run sequel has just been in development hell forever. So, I'm glad that it's finally coming out. Good for Aardman to, getting something else out the door, but I would love to see some new IP out of these people. But, just producing anything is better than producing nothing. So I'm happy for them. And this is an interesting thing. I know I've been down on Netflix recently, but a lot of people are talking about, people wouldn't have jobs. I think it was Sandra Bullock said that. People wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for Netflix. It's definitely true. But Netflix also created their own, they dug their own grave. They have to hire these people because they changed the movie industry. But if it wasn't Netflix, it was going to be someone else that did it anyway. Someone else was going to step in and do streaming. It was just the way that that's just the way technology goes. Music did it first with Pandora, and Netflix did it with, I don't know, Netflix originals or whatever. But that's it. Looking forward to that. Both of those movies, actually. Number 5, A Christmas Story sequel is in development with original child star Peter Billingsley signing on as actor and producer. The film, titled A Christmas Story Christmas, will follow Billingsley's character as an adult with his own kids now. The film hopes to begin production in February in Hungary, of all places, and will premiere on HBO Max upon release. A Christmas Story was released in 1983 and has garnered a strong audience for its eccentric humor ever since. Multiple sequels have been produced, such as My Summer Story from 1994 and the direct-to-DVD A Christmas Story 2 from 2012. It is unknown if this new film will address the plots in either of those films. A Christmas Story Christmas will be directed by Clay Cadis, who recently directed Netflix's The Christmas Chronicles, and written by Nick Schneck, known for writing Gran Torino and The Mule. That's it. That's pretty much all I have to say about that one. I like A Christmas Story. I like the first one. I saw it for the first time like a few years ago, maybe when I was in high school, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was, fun, funny, family-oriented, cute, clever. I would have loved it as a kid. I enjoyed it. But now they're doing a direct sequel, apparently. Peter Billingsley is going to sign on to star, apparently. A Christmas Story, yeah, interesting. A Summer Story from 1994 and A Christmas Story 2. I highly doubt they're going to either be, I highly doubt they're going to be addressed at all in any way, but, we'll see. More information will be released soon, so... All right, let's get into the wrap-up. This is typically just smaller news items that don't necessarily need a whole write-up or any sort of discussion items, so I'll just breeze through them real quick. National Geographic announced that it purchased the distribution rights to archival volcano documentary Fire of Love from Sundance. There you go, there's a Sundance story. Paramount has acquired the distribution rights to Blazing Samurai, an animated movie with an all-star cast including Michael Cera, Samuel L. Jackson, Ricky Gervais, Mel Brooks, and others. Sony Pictures Classic announced it acquired the rights to animated live-action film A Winter's Journey. The Hollywood Reporter reports that Jodie Foster will join Annette Bening in Diana Nyad biopic for Netflix. Deadline reports that Netflix acquired the rights to Lee Daniels-directed untitled horror film starring Andrew Day, Octavia Spencer, Glenn Close, Rob Morgan, Caleb McLaughlin, and others. Paramount Pictures announced that Mission Impossible 7 and 8 will be pushed to 2023 and 2024, respectively. Deadline reports that a live-action remake of Disney's Aristocats is in development. Fuck you. Deadline reports that Billy Ray and Adam McKay team up for J6, a documentary on the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. Deadline reports that Alice Eve and Martin Sokas join John Cena in upcoming comedy Freelance. Deadline reports that Mark Lowe directed documentary about famed mountaineer who was left alone will premiere on Disney Plus February 4th. Deadline reports that Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson may team up for next film. See, that would have been a news story, but there was no confirmation. It was just Deadline reports that these two may work together. So that's why it was, if I could explain myself a little bit. Deadline reports that Anthony Mackie will make his directorial debut with Sanaya Sidney to star in drama Spark. Deadline reports that Ken Kwapis will direct drama film Thelma with Kathy Bates, John Malkovich, and Lewis Pullman. Deadline reports that the novelization of the sequel to Heat, titled Heat 2, is written by Michael Mann and will be released August 9th. Deadline reports that Ivory Aquino has joined HBO Max's Batgirl as Elisa Yeo. Multiple sources are reporting Jodie Turner-Smith, Mark Strong, and a few others are joining the cast of Adam Sandler and Netflix's Murder Mystery 2. Deadline reports that Ron Howard-directed 13 Lives moves release date from Easter weekend to award season date November 18th after high pre-release test scores. Deadline reports that Fleabag director Harry Bradbeer is directing Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine based on the novel, and Georgia Pritchett, longtime Veep writer, is writing the adapted screenplay. Sony Pictures announced that they have acquired the rights to Father Stu, a drama starring Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson. Deadline reports that John Krasinski's next directorial feature, If, will include The Office co-star Steve Carell, as well as Ryan Reynolds, Alan Kim, Kaylee Fleming, and Louis Gossett Jr. And that is all the news. Now, this is the section of the show that I would normally talk about what is coming to theaters this weekend. Morbius was supposed to come to theaters this weekend, but it got moved to April, so there's actually nothing new coming to theaters this weekend that IMDb has told me about. So that's pretty much everything I have for the show. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you stuck around, thank you very much. Next week, I want to watch Coda, which I didn't really know. I might have known, but I kind of forgot that it was on Apple TV Plus. But I'm going to watch Coda, put that subscription to use. I got 6 months free Apple TV with the new phone that I got a while ago. So I'm going to watch Coda, and I'll look for some other, award season things that are streaming. And maybe I'll go see Licorice Pizza. But this, I know I'll definitely watch Coda. So look forward to that next week. And this was What Gets Captured on Film. My name is Dylan Paulson. The show goes live Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube at noon. Please write into the show, whatgetscaptured@gmail.com. And until then, I will see you next time. Stay safe, everybody.